Okay. All right. Welcome to our meeting on the 13th of January 2021. Jill's asking if you could let her out in, please,
sorry.
Jonathan. Okay. Right. Thank you. Right. Welcome to our meeting on the 13th of January 2021. I have to start the meeting with very sad news, and that is the passing of Tony Kennett. I think we all feel very sad about that. I'm going to refer later on in the meeting to the impact that that's had upon the parish council, but I just want to say that Tony had a considerable impact upon the village in the relatively short time that he was here. He was a quiet man, kept himself to himself, but he engaged himself in all sorts of activities within the village, and I think we should be very grateful for the contributions that he made. Okay, I'd like to move on then to public discussion of items on the agenda. That is the first item on the agenda. We only have, we have a number of people. So are there any members of the public who wish to raise any items which are on tonight's agenda, please? Sue. You're on mute, Sue.
It's just a highways matter, as that is on the agenda.
Yeah.
It's quite a minor thing. At the bottom of Lecture Lane, at the junction of the A356, the 30-mile-an-hour sign is completely obliterated by foliage. Well, it's not foliage, actually, it's branches. So it'd be even worse if there were leaves on the tree. So I was just going to say, if that could be reported, please, so that the appropriate person could come and clear it.
Was that Lecture Lane in the A356, Sue?
Yes, South Parish End, yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'll report that.
Thanks, Jane.
I think it's been damaged, Sue, don't you? I suspect that the hedge trimmers damaged it. I don't.
Really? Because it looks like it's still upright. It just looks as though there was part of the hedge obscuring it. I mean, but it still looked as though it was intact when I saw it.
Yeah,
that's the one on the right-hand side?
Yeah, no, it's intact. Yeah, Martin.
Yes, the one on the right-hand side is obscured by the branches. The one on the left is skewed around away from the road. So that could be the one on the left that was affected by an accident.
Yeah.
So it was the right I was talking about, yes.
Okay, thanks, Sue. And we'll report that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other items from members of the public? Okay, I'm going to move on then to item 1, those present and apologies. Jane?
Apologies received from Yvonne Harris, Councillor Yvonne Harris, and from Alex Bishop, our local communities policeman.
Thank you. Item 2, minutes to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of November 2020. I should just say at this point that we are quorate, although there are only 3 of us, but this is an absolute minimum number. I'm going to refer back to this later in the meeting, but we are quorate. But I would like somebody to propose and second the minutes, please.
I propose.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks, B.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. 3, matters arising from the minutes and raised by members. Pipplepen Solar Farm project. Jane?
Just to say I remain in contact with Elgin Energy and with Michelle Howley. They're still proceeding with it. It's taking longer than they thought, but they've got to the point that they're waiting for one S73 notice, which is relating to the farm, which needs discharging. And once that's been done, the application will go in, and they're optimistic it will be before the end of January. and they'll let us know once it has gone in.
Thank you. Any questions on that from Jonathan or B?
No.
Okay. Finger arm post. I'm afraid there's no progress to report on that. We're still attempting to contact Mike Charles, but so far without success. Next item, Britain in Bloom. B, any progress on that one?
I spoke to Kathy. The consensus seems to be they'd all like to help, but nobody is actually coming forward that wants to take it on at the moment. I've still got to speak to a couple of people I've not been able to get hold of, but as soon as I do, I'll do another report at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Advent Festival of Light. This is just basically to thank Michelle for her efforts, which were amazing as usual, and the whole event was a terrific success. So well done, and thank you to Michelle. Let's make sure that's recorded in the minutes. I'd also like to say that I thought the Christmas tree in the pound was a great success. I'm biased, but I think it worked rather well.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
And I think we should also record, if we haven't already, our thanks to Groves for supplying the tree and for delivering it, which was extremely generous of them.
Yeah.
And thanks to Martin and other people who came and helped to put it up and take it down and dress it, or whatever the phrase is. Yeah.
A precedent for next year.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, we've got it now.
Also, can we have it recorded? The displays put up by quite well the majority of villagers in terms of putting up lights outside their own houses was
Yes.
very fetching and made the village look magical in the evenings.
Absolutely right. I totally agree. Thank you very much. Yes. Tree planting scheme. Jill. You're on mute still.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very briefly, total of 28 households responded to the survey we did in the autumn, giving us about places for 120 trees, and that's not counting any communal spaces which have yet to be decided. Good news on sourcing the trees. The Beminster Eco Group has offered us a selection of trees, shrubs and hedgerow plants that have been donated by the Tree Conservation Volunteers, which is a charity. And Beminster Eco Group have also got several varieties of shrubs in their own nursery, which we can have in exchange for a small donation, which is all good news. And they've got quite a few numbers of these things, which Mike Dower has ordered and should be delivered mid-January. So I've emailed the 28 households to let them know what's available, and given them a helpful link to the RHS website so they can look up the various details of the species to see what the position, light, shade, soil, etc. is required. And hopefully people will get back to me and say what they would like, so that we could start planting over the next couple of months, so we can have lots of saplings springing up in the spring. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Jill? Well, our thanks once again, Jill, for a fantastic job.
Yes, thank you.
And we look forward to lots of brilliant trees that we can all enjoy after lockdown. Thanks very much. Okay, I'm moving on to item 4. Reports from, we'll start this time. We'll start with Rebecca, shall we, for a change? Rebecca, your report, please.
Hello.
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 There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
No, I'm not in the garden, but I wish I was. But just to say that I'm delighted just to have heard, because that was an issue I was going to raise about the trees. Mike Dower's group, the Eco Group for Beminster, I'm delighted to say, isn't just focused on Bedminster. It is looking at the all of the villages around. And the report I got from him was that there are as many trees, shrubs available for per person per population in the villages that the Bedminster area covers. So that's quite a number. So I'm really glad to hear that Jane is in touch with Mike. That's really good. He has submitted a plan to Dorset Council's climate change group and consultation. It's quite an extensive one. I hope you did have sight of it. It seemed very reasonable. I'm no expert, but in general, the right moves are being made as far as I can see, which ensures that as much opportunity is taken for everyone to get involved in doing their bit. From my point of view, I've been in touch with, well, I am in touch with Dorset Council about looking at areas within parish areas which are considered Dorset Council pieces of land, which the parish or the community or any group might like to consider to use. We have to be very aware of whether there's a value to the taxpayer, but I've said that even if there is a value, if you're not considering selling it and it's just sitting around like in the back of car parks, and it's probably not that relevant to South Parrot, but there are places where there's just scrubby bits of horrible bits of land which are just used as dumping grounds, where actually local communities might want to plant something nice. And I've been trying to facilitate that. Looking at South Parrot's assets, I don't think Dorset Council have many, but if you've got a big bit of verge, we've got to, and there's somebody who wants to use it, then let me know via Jane or via the chairman. All should be used. There's so much opportunity, and in Broad Windsor there's just a tiny little patch where there's a finger post, and they planted a meadow over the summer. There's lots of stuff that might be done if there's an appetite to do it. There's no one has to, but there just seems to be more interest nowadays.
Yep.
The other thing I'd say is your feeder school of Parrot and Axe. If you've got residents who are saying that they need equipment for their children, there is an opportunity for the school to provide that. I just found there was a bit of a block in local people thinking they have to sort of suddenly scurry around and find secondhand laptops and iPads, and that's all great, but there is an absolute official place where the school can apply. I was actually on the Mosterton Parish Council meeting last night and conveyed that message as well, but there might be residents in South Parrot who might not feel they need to ask, but they should. They have every right to a funded laptop, tablet for their child to learn from home. Jane, again, if you need that link, if you find people who are reaching out to you, then please let me know. Because no one should be discriminated against at all. The other thing I would say is that the message from Dorset Council now, along with our local NHS partners, is still it's a really high one. Just be sensible. There is going to be more enforcement. The Dorset police are very sensible about what they see as enforcement. So get out there and enjoy the countryside. But if you do see parties happening, and if you do see things which are just not sitting right and don't feel comfortable, then let someone know, whether it's the chairman or me or Jane. If you don't feel comfortable going straight to the police, just let us know, because we're getting advice about what can be deemed as just antisocial and not appropriate. Particularly, and I see it in the Marshwood Vale area, I see a lot of camper vans just parking out. Now, you know, that's very nice, but it's not if they've come from Birmingham or Coventry or outside of our area. It's great if they're from up the road, but they're not sometimes. It's just that sort of thing needs to be clamped down, and there is a place to do that. And I'm sure David and Jane and I can make the appropriate call. So residents, don't feel shy. We must actually help the police. There's a deal here. We do our best. We are the ones who are voted in, and there's democracy, and we are leaders, and we need to take that responsibility if others feel a bit shy about doing it. So we should act as the intermediaries to ensure that the appropriate person or body is called in whatever circumstance that might be. Fly tipping, huge. It's gone up enormously. Again, don't feel shy about reporting it. Please go through the website to Dorset Council. Please do that. Don't stop. It's just got out of control. God knows why, because all the waste transfer stations and the tips they're all open. But just keep doing your duty as councillors and as responsible residents. Again, if you feel shy of doing it, I'm not shy of reporting anything. And I'm sure your chairman isn't either, or your councillors. And the last thing I just say is there is the most amazing, and I know it because I took my mother there today, Bridport, and I'm not sure where South Parrot gets sent to. If any of your residents are concerned about going down to get their vaccinations, Bridport is doing the most amazing job. I cannot fault them, and they were praised from the whole of Dorset for being able to get people through to get their vaccinations, and it was simplicity. It was absolutely brilliant, and I urge everybody who is asked to go or given the opportunity to have a vaccination, go and do it. But at the same time, when you know somebody who has a vaccination, it's not a freedom pass. And that's been a bit of a worry with people thinking they've had a vaccination and woo, we're free. No, you're not free. Not free until the rest of the people they meet have had that vaccination and got through it. But please wait for your call up or your text or your email or your letter. It could come through in all sorts of ways. But get down there and get that passed. Dorset are doing absolutely brilliant, and for some reason, but I hope it's something to do with Dorset Council and what I've been doing and others have been doing, we've got more vaccinations than a lot of other areas in the country. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Chairman. Thank
you, Rebecca. Any questions from our councillors? Sorry, Sue.
I was just wanting to ask Rebecca about the policy in the primary healthcare trust that is covered by Bridport. are they doing the second jab, or are they just sticking to the first jab and then waiting the 12-week period?
Sue, they did stick to the second jab with the first lot because Bridport were way ahead. So they did get the first jab of Pfizer jab in way before Christmas. So that lot who were given a second date, that date was kept to in beginning of January. The second date is, they're not giving out their second dates now.
Right,
So,
okay.
So they are going with what the national guidelines are. They were, I know, because my mum had a Pfizer one today.
Yes.
She wasn't given a date for her second.
Right.
But they are going with national guidelines.
Okay. And do you think they'll be sticking with Pfizer or changing to?
I imagine, from what I've heard, Sue, about the number of vaccines we're getting, I can't imagine that they will be sticking with Pfizer. I think that we must be getting a mix. I reckon my mother was given one of the last Pfizer ones. I reckon they've got the lot, but we are told in Dorset we've got a really good supply coming.
That's good. All I would say is it's essential. I think that we have the same one when our turn comes, which obviously I'm not in the first cohort, but that we have the same one, and I will certainly be asking which one they're vaccinating me with, simply because although I don't mind, I will want to know.
That's fine, and they are being very open about that.
Right.
Absolutely, but as many friends of mine say, you know, if you were offered, how much else have you had in your bodies? I mean, I would just urge everyone to take the vaccination, but it's a personal choice. But please do it.
I can't wait personally. No,
Sue,
that's not.
please.
I'm just saying. I just want the same one, but
Sue,
I can't wait.
Sue,
And unfortunately,
Sue,
I'll have to wait till at least March.
So you are not allowed to speak in the meetings.
Oh, sorry.
You
She
know
gets very
that.
excited. That's the end of me.
We can't have a conversation, Sue. It's just not right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Chairman, end from me. I'll stay as long as I can. I might mute myself in case my dog barks.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Okay.
Could we turn to the police officer's report? We've got the written reports from the police, river warden and footpath officers. So I don't want them read out verbatim. I think that's just a waste of time. They will be in the minutes, will they not?
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
So the reports will be there. Basically, I'm going to just précis what the police report is. That is to say, there are, first thing to say, nothing to report in the South Perrott area. The second thing to say is a lot of people are rightly walking around the area, and be careful when you leave fields, because gates are being left open, which is allowing livestock to wander off. There are also issues with dogs worrying livestock, so keep them on a lead. So just be careful is what Alex is saying. The other point he makes is, again, another emphasis on advice about unsolicited and cold calls. I don't know whether it's happened to anybody here, but there's been a lot of cold calling, and a lot of people, including people very close to us, who've been scammed. So for heaven's sake, be very careful when you get cold calls. Jane, you've read it. Anything that you want to add to that?
No, David, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Martin, River Warden.
Thank you, Chairman. Just quickly to say that, fingers crossed, it looked as though the flooding outside Sarum has now been resolved, following action from or pressure from the Parish Council on Dorset Highways, who did come and do some pumping out works, and that seems to have worked.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have thanked, have we not, Jane? We
have.
We sent
Yep.
Blair, yes, we sent
Yes,
Highways a thank you note for doing that. So that's a positive result. So, yes. Footpath
Well, you've
officer.
got the report. So the only thing to emphasise again is that I have seen quite a lot of dog excrement lying around. So I'm very pleased that you've got the dog bins under your precept. Also on the tree issue, although it does affect the footpath, the Parrot Trail, and it's in Cheddington, but I'm pleased to see that Jeffrey Guys has actually planted lots of tree saplings, hundreds up there, which I think will enhance it as part of the Parrot Trail. So we're just making sure it doesn't obscure it. I think otherwise it's as it is. Everybody keep walking. More than you people are walking, and that's good.
That's brilliant. Yes, I agree. Thank you for your report. It was very informative. Okie dokie. Moving on to item 5, which is planning. Well, the 5A applications are concerning the Coach and Horses Inn. Normally at this point I would suggest that Eve left the meeting, but since she isn't here anyway, that isn't an issue. I'm afraid to say that there is nothing to report. I'm really at my wit's end. I have composed a letter, and Jane has very kindly put together a detailed list of all the contacts that we've had over the last year now with Dorset Council. Now, I'm happy to circulate that to you guys to have a look at and consider. Or you may feel that we should just let it rest. We have had a message today, haven't we, Jane?
Yesterday, actually, Chairman, but yes,
yesterday. From, what's her name? I've forgotten now.
Jo Riley, Senior Planning Officer.
Yeah, and she said that she was aware of the delay, and the piece of good news was that she's managed to appoint someone else in the department, and I think I'm right in saying she said the Coach and Horses would be one of the first items that they would be looking at. But there's another meeting tomorrow, is it, Jane, of the planning committee? And
yes, indeed,
the Coach and Horses is not on the committee's agenda. Now, we know there's no guarantee that it's going to be on the committee's agenda, but I am just staggered. And under normal circumstances, the person who was applying for planning permission would, I think at this point, be going ballistic. But in these circumstances that we're all familiar with, the person who's applying for planning permission is not concerned in the least about the fact that he hasn't got planning permission. Now, I'm looking to you, suggestions and ideas.
I did approach the complaints team as to whether or not it was worth pursuing a complaint. They suggested it could be, and the Ombudsman would side on our side because they haven't even adhered to their own planning rules with regard to the timeliness of the responses we've had. But getting a complaint in at the moment is equally difficult. You can get one in, but you probably won't get a response either because they've been reassigned on other COVID activities. So we're properly between a rock and a hard place. So I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in the planning process, and I've mentioned this at work. I wonder if Councillor Knox might be able to give it a bit of a bigger prod, maybe.
I don't.
Oh.
Yep.
Chairman, I of course, I can come in if
yes,
with
please
your
do.
permission, but I haven't heard of anything.
No.
Absolutely nothing. I have consistently requested that it went to committee all the way through this process. I am as disappointed as you. You're not the only area that has had disappointment in the planning committee. I'm not going to sit here and defend this Council's planning department at all. I'm as disappointed as you are. I would keep going. If you've got the energy, I think you should, absolutely. And I again will take this up. To hear it's been put into somebody else's box, from Joe Riley to somebody else, news to me. Now there is at Dorset Council, you're meant to be alerted to these things as your councillor. I have not been alerted. So I can build up evidence from my side that says that I have not been informed, as you haven't either. So if you're going to take this to appeal, then I can add weight to that appeal.
Thank you. I have a suggestion which I'd welcome your views on. As I say, I've drafted a letter. Jane's done a detailed list of all the contacts that we've had with the planning people. I am going to suggest that I circulate that to Jonathan, to Bea, and to Rebecca, and I would welcome your views on it, on those two items, and then we can go forward. Is that an acceptable proposal?
Brilliant for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Jonathan's?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm more than happy. I mean, I don't know if it will get a quicker response. Talking as somebody who works at Dorset Council, you may not appreciate how much impact a member complaining about a service creates in the service. So if it really does shake up, it makes a big difference that the moment a member goes, I'm not happy with something that isn't happening, nothing gets in the way of that. So it might just be worth, if you could, just having a chat with somebody maybe and just say, you know, it's been 3-4 months and my worry is that we have a service level agreement with the person applying, and we've exceeded that chronically. And he could quite justifiably say, I've got tacit permission. I don't know if that's the case, absolutely. But it's been 90, 120 days, something like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it frustrates me immensely, especially as soon as I work for the council.
Yeah. What was the date, Jane? I've forgotten now. 9th of October?
I think it's the 6th, actually, David.
6th of October.
I think so.
Was when a decision should have been made. So November, December,
90 days,
January.
100 days, something.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to circulate these items to you people, and I would welcome your comments as soon as possible, and then we'll move forward on that. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I understand that there are no decisions. Do you want to go through planning, Jane, underneath that?
No, David, there's nothing. There's no decisions notified. We've got no new applications. There are no tree applications. And as far as I'm aware, no other planning matters.
Thank you. Right. Highways updates. We have a few decisions to make. Well, we've got one important decision to make. We had an email from Paul Eastwood, who's the technical officer for collision prevention, and he's prepared to add extra slow markings with yellow bars on the westbound approach to the junction of Picket Lane with the A356. And he will also add a give way triangle marking to the junction from Picket Lane. So do we want slow with yellow bars? And also he's prepared to put yellow lines. That's the 3-2-1 thing, you know what I'm talking about, 3-2-1 on the 356 at both ends of the village by the gateway posts. as people are approaching the village. Now, we've also looked at the gateway posts, haven't we, with a view to perhaps painting them or making them more obvious, because they are there. So those are the offers which are being made. It also ties in with the SID, but those things are going to get mashed together if we're not careful. Would you like those? Would you like us to take up those offers?
I would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Unanimous. Thank you. The other thing which is ongoing is the road narrows sign at the pinch point. It's constantly being bashed. I don't know what its state is at the moment. Martin, you go around there, don't you? No.
I can't recall what the situation is currently.
It's getting bashed all the time, isn't it?
There's not enough highway space, really, is there?
No. Well, what they're proposing is, and this is going to be very difficult for me to describe, but it's a post which goes vertically upwards, then does a 90-degree turn, which will go over the river, and then vertically upwards again, and then the sign is there. You probably will have seen these signs. It's a way that they don't hang over the road so much. Yeah, you with me?
Yeah.
Guys? Yeah. Well,
good idea.
That's a proposal. We'll go with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, great. Thank you. Right. So, School Hill. We've made constant complaints about the state of the pavement in School Hill. I walk up there with the dog almost every day now, and it's in a dreadful state. Some of the vegetation has apparently been sprayed, but I just tear my hair out. Really, it's just impassable. The footpath is no longer effectively. Now, this ties in with the idea for perhaps having somebody that we might call a lengthsman. So let's park that one until we get onto the budget. Item 7, correspondence, Jane.
The main correspondence has been a copy of Clerk's Direct and then various emails which have been about the topics that we've discussed about Sarum, about Picket Lane, School Hill, yellow markings. So nothing outside of those subjects.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to item 8, which is a very important part of our meeting tonight, which is to set the budget for next year. Can we first of all have an account of where we are at this moment, Jane, please?
The bank balance at the moment is on £8,320.99. That is correct as of yesterday. Nothing particularly unusual. I sent you the financial status. Insurance has gone out, payroll admin. There's one outstanding payment to the chairman to be made, and my working hours. But that is all that's gone out at the moment. And there's nothing due either, as far as I'm aware, immediately.
Thank you very much. Yes, I have suggested that I set up a direct debit for, or not me, but us, set up a direct debit for Jane's salary. It's down to my advancing years that I just forget sometimes to get the salary in on time, and that's unacceptable. And so if we had a direct debit, then that would guarantee that it would be paid. Any comments? And Jane, please comment yourself on this.
We've touched on it briefly, David, and I don't have any preference. I mean, because it doesn't actually affect me. The person it does possibly affect is the person who does the admin, who is Vicky Reed, who I have spoken to. She understands why you might want to set up direct debit. Her point is that it might have to be changed, or additional. You might, in addition to direct debit, have to make a payment anyway if the hours are exceeded or there's expenses or anything. So she's not sure it would actually save anything in the long term, you might still end up making a payment every month. So that's what her feeling. She'll go with whatever obviously you decide, but that was what her feeling was. It wasn't going to be a great saving to you.
Vicky's a fairly standard fee though, isn't it? It's about £15 a month or something.
Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah,
I think we could probably take a risk on that one.
I would have thought.
But
Can I just suggest something?
Yeah.
Can I just suggest something else? Instead of a direct debit, if you had a standing order, you could actually, if there was a difference each, one of the months or 2 of the months, on a standing order, you can change that yourself instead of a direct debit.
but it then relies on somebody doing that every month.
Well, it depends. Are you saying that it's every month it's going to be different?
No,
Or is it a few months it's going to be different?
I mean, since Jane's been in post, there's only been 1 month, hasn't there, Jane?
I think it's been 2, but just when there's been a few extra hours that have had to be worked, but not very much.
Okay, well maybe we should do that then, B. That sounds a better idea.
Yeah, just if you do a standing order, it's quite easy to change each, you could add to it each month and then change it back the following month. All you have to do is inform the bank, whereas with a direct debit, there's more forms and such like to be filled in.
Well, what I was thinking of was if it was an excess payment, then I could just make a normal payment, or just an extra. Say it was an extra £15, then I just make a payment for £15. If it was over.
The joy of having a direct debit would be that, I would know that on the 29th of the month or whatever it was, that my pay would be coming in for definite. And then if I say, well, actually, there's an extra few bits that can come later. So that the bulk of it is coming in. But I mean, to be honest, it's very much up to you. It's not essential, but other clerks who are working might be very dependent on that money coming in very accurately on the right day. So I see both sides of it.
I'll make inquiries about the relative merits of direct debit against standing order, and we'll go from there.
They're both the same. They're both the same, really. It's just that you've got more control over standing orders rather than direct debits. So they're both paid on a certain day. You can specify the amount, date, same as a direct debit. So there's no difference.
Why do they have different ones then?
Because one you're in control of, the other, the person receiving it is in control of.
One's a portion, one's a pool.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So really, what I'm trying to say, David, as if you're the treasurer or if you're the one authorising, you've got more control.
Yeah. Okay, well, that sounds like a good option. Yeah, okay. Good, thank you. Right, let's talk about budget then. You've had a draft and I welcome your views, please.
It's difficult to comment without addressing the Lempsman first.
Okay, yeah.
Because, if we employ a Lempsman for just an hour a week plus a SID, that's 1,600 quid. For a parish of size, that's going to make quite a difference to our budget. So I can't really comment on the budget until we talk about that. That's okay.
Well, okay.
Unless you do want to, it's up to you, Chairman, really. But it feels.
It's difficult because they're all sort of intertwined, aren't they?
Yeah.
The proposal that I put to you was based around the fact that we've got a lot of money in the account, and it seemed to me that there were some items that we could pay for out of that balance, which would make it look a bit more respectable. And my proposal, which is what we circulated, was that the SID and the notice board came out of our bank balance.
I agree.
So that would cost £5,500 roughly. We don't know exactly how much the notice board will cost, but the SID is £4,500 and the notice board is 1,000, so that's £5,500, and that still leaves £2,800 in the bank as a balance, which I think is appropriate. And we've got far too much in there at the moment, in my view. So if we take those two items out now, I mustn't lead the conversation. You take over if you think. What do you think?
I think historically, we haven't spent the money that's been trusted with, we've been trusted with. And I think this is an opportunity to address that. It feels like a big number, but it's a one-off purchase, or two one-off purchases. We're not going to be making these yearly, I would imagine. And I think it's the right time to do it. Yeah, I do.
Thank you. B?
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know why we're hanging on to this money when we could be putting it to good use. We keep saying we haven't got enough money for this, we haven't got enough money for this, this is going to cost too much. We've got the money there. Why don't, I mean, I don't know, we've got to spend it before, what is it, 31st of March? Is that right?
No, we can't carry it over,
No,
can't we, James?
yeah.
I know, but if we're planning for another budget next year to apply for so much money next year, we'll have that in the account as well then.
Yeah.
Rebecca's got her hand up. Yeah.
It's going to increase even more so. So what I'm trying to say, we keep talking about these things, but we're not spending anything. Well, I've not really seen any changes in the village. So if we've approved the SIDS to go ahead, the notice board to go ahead, let's just get it going.
Okay. Rebecca, you want to say?
Well, that's very kind of you, because this isn't my decision. But I will just reflect, if I might. I've attended 2 meetings in the past, just in the 2 days, of other parish councils where they have funds totaling £50,000. Now that is one of your neighbours and another neighbour.
Right.
You are, I know, absolutely extraordinary amounts of money which are accumulating. I think you have got absolutely the right way of addressing this. If you raise money, it is taxpayers' money, therefore the taxpayer needs to know where it's going.
Absolutely right. Thank you.
Storing up money, you know, it's all very well, but you've got stuff to pay for, and then you've got to talk to your residents about what the increase is. I know you could raise whatever. You have no limit.
No.
But you know.
I mean, yes, thank you. That's terrific. The thing is, we got this money kind of as a one-off, didn't we? Because of the breakup of the Parish Council. Let's use this money. This is, we've discussed it. Everyone I've spoken to about the SIDS thinks it's a brilliant idea, and let's go with it. So you both approved it. I think we've got the green light there, Jane. We will pay for the SIDS and the notice board out of capital. Now, could we discuss bins, please? And I can't find the amount, which is, what was the cost of the bins, Jane? Can you remind me?
Just bear with me. The litter bins that Dorset Council would provide start with £150 plus VAT, and then there's an installation charge of, I think it was £50. In addition to that, every time they open, so they empty the bin, it is £5, 10 pence a collection. So this adds up quite quickly. I mean, they're very happy to do it, and they will, if we want to go ahead, we need to send them the location. They will go out and have a look and either approve it or suggest somewhere else. But that's the sum, 150 plus VAT, plus an installation fee, plus a regular emptying fee.
Views, please.
What's a regular emptying fee? Once a week, twice a week?
I don't know. I would have thought it would have been whenever your rubbish is, you know, household waste is done, but I don't know.
Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. I'm just trying to work out how much in total one bin would cost.
It costs about 120. If it's empty twice a month, you know, let's say it's going to be, you know, 120 pounds
a month.
A year.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm a big fan of the bins because I see more and more rubbish being dropped on the floor, more and more poo bags left. It's just something that I think the village needs at the moment.
Where would you locate it?
Well, that would have to be decided. There's one in the pound. Maybe one could go in Pickett's Lane somewhere, and one in near School Hill somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. There's the definite need for one near School Hill or outside the village hall, that bit, because they're coming down the hill coming back, and one on the corner of Manor Close, maybe catching people coming down from the reservoir and whatnot.
I'm looking at £320 in the first year per bin.
Yeah, and your point is?
I'm telling you, I'm just saying.
And then about £500
£500
a year.
It's £1,000. Yeah,
and £500 a year.
And £500 a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're happy with that?
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying I'm happy with it, because it's benefiting every single villager. And the reason why it's benefiting every single villager, if you look at the majority of villagers, they've got dogs, and the ones that haven't will benefit from people not leaving their poo bags or dog fowl around the village.
Okay. Can I suggest? Can I suggest that we buy the bins out of capital?
Yeah.
If we've got enough money.
So that'd be 400. Essentially, it's 200 quid a bin, isn't it?
Yes.
To buy and install. So we take 600.
Sorry, are we talking about 2 bins or 3 bins here?
I think 3 now, aren't they?
No, 2 additional. Oh, you want another one in the pound?
No, not in the pound, surely. You want one in School Hill?
Yeah.
One
on the corner of Manor Close.
Picket Lane, was it?
Or was it Manor Close? I don't know. Well, it's on that grass bit on the corner.
So is it on that junction between Manor Close and Picket Lane? Is it on that there somewhere?
Yeah, there's a big grassy area on that.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it wouldn't look too out of place there.
Is that where the bench is, Jonathan?
I'm just looking at Google Maps. I can't see. Yeah, there might have been a bench at some point.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
So it's just 2 then, is it? Rebecca,
I was just asking, Chairman, thank you again for your indulgence. But so have you decided what your increase in your council tax request to the parish is?
No, we haven't got that far.
No, okay. So
we're spending all the money.
So all this has to be taken into account. Just to say that there is a move within the area, and again, I'm sorry, this focuses on Bedminster, is to look at the best and most efficient way of removing other waste. So what is happening in the Bedminster area is to ask all the local businesses, because let's not just focus on poo, dog poo. This is about waste in general. It's a bigger picture than just actually illuminate or getting rid of public waste in an area. You could look at joining in a contract, which means that your whole waste is taken away in a better way than it is, or a more efficient way than it is at the moment. Now, that's not going to be able to resolve your situation tonight, but so come to a decision, but maybe in future or just between the next meeting, think about how, or getting in touch with local businesses about how they get rid of their waste, because there's a huge amount that might be saved for them if the village comes together to ensure that we don't have 5 or 6 different waste companies coming to get rid of waste of one.
Okay.
Bit.
Okay, I think that's something for the future, really. At the moment, we've got to discuss these bins. two bins?
I think so.
Yeah, two. One
Two
in Biggets
bins.
Lane, one near School Hill.
Yep.
200 quid out of capital for each bin.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. So running costs go into the budget,
Yes.
Jane?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that will be, we're assuming once a fortnight?
It's about
Yeah.
£500 a year, isn't it?
Well, it'll be 600 presumably, will it? I don't know.
£5 something, wasn't it? Yeah, so
Was
say
it?
600. Yeah.
He said 600, it would cover it.
Yeah, so 600 goes into the budget. Now, can we talk Lengthsman? Because I know I'll just introduce the idea. I mean, I years ago I'd heard about this idea of the Lengthsman. That's somebody who looks after a length of road, and it goes back to Tudor times apparently. Now, I know we're a small. Whoever's doing that, can they stop? It sounds like somebody's cutlery. No? Okay. No?
Well,
All right. Yeah, we can't afford very much money. I asked Jane to look into the idea of a Lengthsman, and there is apparently a Dorset Lengthsman, and his name is Guy Gilding. And Jane, do you want to give us just a very quick?
But he lives up in East Stour. He set up about 2 years ago, and basically he will do the Lengthsman's job. I mean, you could call him an odd jobsman, really.
Yeah.
And the way he operates is that he doesn't want a contract, but he was sort of on call for us. So if, for example, we decided that the pavements in School Hill needed clearing, and we'd ask him to come down and do that, and he would then charge us for the work that he's done and the time spent. One of the jobs he does is move SIDS, for example. He will do cutting back, he'll do clearing of pavements, he'll do clearing out of ditches, any of those things that we ask him to do. And that's his task. He's come across it because he was a councillor himself up in East Stour and got absolutely fed up with fighting with Dorset Council to get the jobs done. And so he decided to set up on his own and see if he could solve it. And so far it's going very well. But he is expensive. He charges £25 an hour, which is quite a lot of money.
Yeah, I think we can do better than that. But let's please talk. What is your view on it? Because if you don't like it, then it doesn't matter.
The £25, oddly enough, I think is fair value. It's not cheap, but the guy needs a green waste licence for starters to take away the cuttings that he's generating.
He did say that he had all. Jonathan, sorry to interrupt you. He did say he had all the cuttings and all the insurances and everything else.
And
signage
fully and the training. And
Yeah,
that's why I think £25 is a fair price. If we could go and get somebody for a tenner, but he's not going to have those highway certificates and everything else that goes with it, and £5 million insurance and all of that. So,
and the other thing he did say was that he would use all his own tools. So if we employed somebody from within the village, I don't know what the add-on costs would be, whether he'd expect us to provide whatever it was he needed. And he will dispose of waste if it's a reasonable amount. If it's a huge amount, he's optimistic that there might be somewhere in the village or a local farmer who might be prepared to take some of the waste. So, he was quite open about that.
but it is a big number. My rough estimate of 1 hour a week, just a 1 hour a week, and the SID comes in at £1,600, which is quite about 40% of our precept.
B, what do you think?
I've had a good think over it. I know we want jobs done that Dorset Council should be doing in the first instance anyway. And we're saying to the villagers, we're going to be adding this to your budgets when the council should be taking care of it. That's one sort of point of view, if you like. In terms of who's going to monitor the work, who's going to... there's just a lot of problems that I can see happening in terms of employing somebody in that way. in terms of if you're saying we're going to do it once a week, we're going to give someone hours once a week, you know, who's going to be responsible for that? Who's going to be drawing up a list of jobs that someone's got to do? Who's going to be sort of saying it's been done to the satisfactory standard, if you like? So I don't know, really. I don't know if it's better still to go and put some sort of precept in the budget and say, right, what we're going to do is put, I don't know, £1,000 in the budget, and then decide amongst ourselves and say to somebody, can you go and do that? Can you go and do that? I know this works the same way, but you're saying definitely employ somebody, and I'm not so sure about that.
Well,
And
yeah.
of course, the question.
Go on, Jane, you were first.
I was just going to say that the question I've always had in my mind for a long time is the SIDS. I mean, this SID needs to be moved every 6 weeks. You know, who is going to do that on a regular? It's all very well doing it one off, but it's got to be done every 6 weeks. Who will take that on in the village to do?
My view on it was we're definitely not employing somebody. We are drawing up a contract that we can draw down on. If you start going down the employment route, you've got pensions, payroll, health and safety, insurance, the whole thing, and I don't want to get involved in that. So,
are we saying that we're then employing a contractor? Because that's what we're doing. If you're not employing an individual, then we're employing a contractor.
We're entering into a contractual agreement. I wouldn't use the word employing or employment at all. It's a contract that we can.
Yeah, it's the contract. So we're entering into a contract. Who's going to monitor the contract? It just opens up a load of issues. That's the only reason I'm saying if something happens to that, even if the individual's got their insurance, we're liable as well to a certain degree.
Rebecca, you've been desperate to get in.
Well, this is because I've seen this happening in other areas, so you're not the first. I'm going to get to the point. No, don't do it. There are people who you can employ. Don't get into a contractual arrangement with a linksman from far away. There are people in your neighbouring parishes who can help if you really need some help. Do it. Put it in your budget, but they'll do it on a sort of on a linksman arrangement.
Ad hoc, yeah.
I really don't think you need to get into an employment situation. Jane is quite right. It gets you into pensions and all sorts of stuff you don't need to do.
Certainly don't want it. No.
Nonsense. When it comes to the SIDS, go and talk to Mosterton. They have one. They do it. They put their SID one end to the other when they need it. You know, you just don't get into this. It's easily done. Others have done it. You're not the first.
If we want to clear the rubbish at the end of School Hill and get the pavement looking reasonable, can't we just ask somebody to do it and pay them? Is that not possible?
Yeah.
Well, let's do that.
Just do it.
That's what I'm trying to say. If we just when we've got a job needs doing, if we just ask somebody, even if there's people in the village that wouldn't mind doing a job, you know, and getting paid.
Yeah, we know.
You know, so instead of actually saying, let's have this, let's just put a certain amount of money in the budget and say, right, we've got this job doing. The other gripe really that I've got, I know what you're saying, David, that it's difficult to get the local authority to do the work that they're supposed to be doing. But my view is that we still try to do that, because if they've got a responsibility and everybody pays their tax, you know, council tax or whatever it's called now, they should be doing it, and we should be as councillors, we should be making more of a fuss to get them to do the jobs that they should be doing.
I can't imagine how we could make any more fuss than we are at the moment. I mean, short of turning up in Dorchester with placards and bloody pitchforks, I really
Well,
don't
maybe
know
that's what we need to do, David. Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we
Yes,
need to
Rebecca.
tell the villagers to not pay
absolutely.
any more council tax until the jobs are done.
I think you're absolutely right on the planning. I think there may be there is a really good will from the Dorset Council to do things on waste and other matters. We've so concentrated on planning and COVID, but actually highways and the waste people are really trying their hardest. It's your decision, but I really wouldn't go and pay anybody else.
No. Okay, we've made that decision. We've made that decision. That's not.
But if I was to just put in more, put in your reasons that you need something done, but it will get done. But and let me know more. That would be really helpful.
Okay, thank you.
But don't.
Okay, so we're agreed. Now, Jane, the budget that we sent round, you, Jonathan and B, I hope you got it in front of you. There were 3 options. The village enhancement or maintenance budget was there, but we've now got to put in £600 for maintaining the bins, Jane. Yes?
We have.
So if we were to then budget, because your precept should be based on a budget, if we estimate our budget for getting the village tidied up as needed on an ad hoc basis of £1,000,
yeah, that
would be £1,600 in addition, which my fag packet calculations work out about £25 a year extra on a band D, give or take. So it is an up step, but and
I think that's too much.
Yeah. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I mean,
it's a massive percentage.
Oh, it's 40-something%. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you really look at it, it's coming from a low point anyway. Because if you think about £25 on a band D per year, yeah, and if you take that over a month, you're looking at an increase of what, £2?
Yeah,
a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 50p a week. Yeah, so you're £2 a month.
Like 50p a week, £2 a month.
Yeah.
That's not really a massive increase, and what the villagers are getting for that, you know, it's something substantial that they can see. Because if you ask, I guarantee, if you ask the villagers where the bins are located, you know, if any sort of bins in the village, the only place they'll say is the pound, because everybody knows, because everybody's looking for a bin when they're out on a walk.
Yeah. Well, there's no, I mean, the thing is, we're agreed that the £600 goes in for the bins. It's a question of how much we allow on top of that for these ad hoc works.
No, but even that, it's going to be something substantial that the villagers are going to see in terms of areas that we see not being done, being cleaned.
Is that your view, Jonathan? We go for £1,600.
Well, I think villagers moan about 3 things, don't they? Planning, speeding, and dog poo. So if we can address the speeding and the dog poo, we can then make the place a prettier place to live as well with £1,000 extra. We've already got a bit of budget in there for village enhancements already. Just to give you an idea that just looking at Mosterton, their band D is about 56, is it? 56.78. Yeah, it's about 56 quid. Can anybody remind me what ours is at the moment? I should have it somewhere.
Martin's usually good at this sort of thing.
I'll have to look it up. It's still listed as Parramax, I think. Parramax, we're about 29 quid or something, around that region, I think, on a band D. So it. You know,
Martin's got it. Have you got it there, Martin?
I think so. Just having a look.
Yeah, 29.51 is the one on the website, Dorset website, for band D for Parramax group. That might.
So what you're saying is we're a long way behind Mosterton.
Mosterton.
£64.18
Oh,
a year.
are you band D?
You're not band D.
Oh, sorry, I'm G.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I think band
You had to
D
get that
this-
in, didn't you?
I think band D this year, I've got a table in front of me. Please don't quote me, but I think it might be for band D in South Parrot, it might be £38.51 this year. And if you added on the £1,600 that we're talking about, that would take it up to £46.71, which is an increase of £8.19 a year. Which is, of course, an increase of £8, whatever you want to divide that by 12, 75 pence or whatever it might be a month, whatever it is.
Yeah, Mosterton's about £45 a year. This is last year though, so it's who knows what they're going to do this year, and it's an equivalent.
What I'm hearing from you guys is that you're happy to go along with it.
Yeah,
I'm
happy to go along with it.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense to me, but politically, it's really
That's what worries me.
It's going to be a really hard sell for you, Chairman.
That's why I'm a bit worried about it.
Yeah. It
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Last year, did we have an increase last year?
Yeah, it was a big one.
30.5%.
Right, and how many people complained?
Good point.
How many people complained?
The only person I know who complained was the
I
person
complained to.
in Dorset Council.
Council.
Yeah.
Not to the councillors of the village. I complained to Dorset Council. When I get my council tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, the year before it was a 2.7% increase, and then this year it was a 30.5%.
The question I'm asking, if we're worried about people complaining, how many people complained last year? 0.
Yeah, and an interesting point is if they don't like our decisions, they're more than welcome to stand for the parish council. Maybe we might get a few of them out of their doors a bit and standing up for it, because if we start hitting
I've got a decision to make, right? I didn't even know I contributed to the village through the council tax.
A lot of people don't.
It's such a small amount on the end of the council tax, to be absolutely honest. It's pence.
Do you know what? They don't look at that. They just look at the monthly figure that they have to pay, and that's what they moan and groan about, because that's what I moan and groan about.
I'm going to call a halt to this.
Then I think we've got they collect bids more often.
Okay.
Should we all vote?
Yeah, I mean, you two are clearly in favour of it, so we'll go with it.
Are you not? Are you not?
I have my concerns. I mean,
David, what are your concerns?
Well, part of me would be to say instead of 1,000, why don't we drop it to 900 or 950 or something? But that probably won't make much difference, will it?
No.
Oh.
Pence.
No. All right,
couple of
go
pence.
with it. Okay, Jane.
If that's your decision, I'm making the notes.
So does somebody need to propose it and second it, or
yes, please.
Proposing it
and second it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, it's going to get fun now, isn't it?
Sorry, who was the proposer? Was it Jonathan? Did you propose?
No,
it?
No, it's B.
B.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was exciting, wasn't it?
It was.
Let's move on to matters of report and items for next meeting. The most important thing from me.
Sorry, before we move on.
Yeah.
Before we move on, could I just make sure that we start spending that money that we've got, and we have deadlines for it to get the SIDS in and get the other stuff that we said, and actually get it ordered, and not have to sort of go over it again at the next meeting and say
we won't be. I'll be on my emails tomorrow, acknowledging getting on with it tomorrow. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with Pete.
The SIDS and the post signs.
Yeah.
Because it's an easier pill to swallow if people are seeing the money being spent. So
I'd rather see the stuff come in before April, so we got everything's visible, and then if people have got concerns, then we could say, look, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this.
Yeah. No,
okay.
I'll be on it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Happy? Can I move on? Yep.
So have we agreed the budget? Or
we have. Well, we have, but I don't know if any other items on the list there that basically the last line is village enhancement maintenance. It's £1,000, and then we'll have a separate line, I think, Jane.
Okay.
For bins.
Yep. Okay. That's fine. So I reckon if you add those things together, the precept of the budget will be £4,717.40.
Right.
I don't make it that.
Don't you? Why not, Jonathan? What do you make it?
Well, I don't know. I've left your £1,000 for village enhancements in, and then I added an extra 1,600 quid for bins and.
No, it's only 600.
So you're only going to count the £1,000 for maintenance. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is 4,007. Yeah.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
And you're happy for me to apply for that for your precept for this year? Or for that year? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's much better. That's less than, say it quietly, 20%.
Okay, brilliant. Happy, Jane?
Yep, thank you.
Item 11. We are now in the position of, well, the first thing to say, of course, is that Chris has resigned from the council. Chris Kennett has resigned from the council. I'd just like to personally thank her for the work that she did during her brief time here. She really got involved, particularly with the road scheme, and was a great help, particularly during the first lockdown also, when she helped a great deal with the newsletter which went out. So our thanks to her, and we're sorry that she's decided to resign, but we understand entirely the reasons. V, have you sent the information that I asked you for the bank?
No, sorry, I've been preoccupied with a few other things. I will send them this week.
Okay,
tomorrow.
if you could, because at the moment, I can't get any money back for the trees because Eve can't get her account working, and you at the moment are not qualified. So I need that information in order to get you on the payroll, as it were. So as soon as possible, please.
Okay.
And can I please appeal to, and this is a general appeal, if email stuff goes out, please could you respond, because Jane in particular is frustrated, not knowing whether stuff's actually been received. So even if you could say, yes, I've seen it, that would be very helpful. Jane, have you got any particular?
I've just got two things to raise. One, you've probably seen the notice on the board, but there's a national census on Sunday, the 21st of March. It's going to be largely done online, and there'll be much more information coming out, obviously. But we have been asked, you have been asked as a council, to be prepared to help people should they require it with the filling in of forms. How that's going to work if we're in lockdown, I've no idea, but I just wanted to alert you to the fact that you will be possibly asked to help out if required. And the second thing was to say that you probably know that we belong to an organisation called the Dorset Area Parish and Town Clerks, who are a very helpful organisation. And if I have queries, you can go to them and they will give you a steer in the right direction. it covers the whole of Dorset, but they've divided it up into various areas, and not surprisingly, we are in the western area, and they're looking at reorganising it. And what they want to do is have a representative from every parish to join whichever area you're in. So obviously for us, it would be the western area. And I'm just wondering if there's someone who might like to volunteer to be that rep for our village. I will be there too, because I get no choice. But to have someone go along with me would be great. At the moment, it would be done by Zoom, and this is not until much later in the year when it gets up and running. So I don't know if anybody's prepared to step up for that, please.
In the absence of anybody else leaping forward there, what day is it normally?
I don't know, John. I don't know many details. I think it's once every 3 months or so. It's once a quarter, or maybe once every 4 months. It's not a frequent occurrence. I don't even know the date, because I've never been to one. I don't know dates or times.
Rebecca.
I'm going to be slightly controversial. It hasn't in the past been a very good organisation. I'm hoping that it's going to get better. The communication between the DOPTC and Dorset Council should get better. I would say it needs someone feisty, really feisty.
Got the man.
Whoever won, but get in there. It's now, because it's being led by somebody who is slightly more respected from Dorset Council than it was before. It's going to matter more. It used to be just a talking shop, but I would just say get stuck in. So whoever is going to get stuck in, I would say.
Okay, that's useful. I'm happy to step up if Jonathan is unable to make the date. I can be first reserve.
Oh, okay then, that's fine then. Yeah, I mean, I'm in Dorchester, or maybe in Dorchester anyway, and it's only down the road from there. So,
well, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you both very much. Very kind. Appreciate it.
What I forgot to say when I was talking about my bit was that, of course, we've got this casual vacancy. Now, I know a lot of people have disappeared from the meeting. There weren't many people here anyway, but we need 5 people, don't we, Jane?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And if we drop below our numbers now, we'll be taken over. I think I'm right in saying.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. So we do need people. So please go out and encourage them to become involved. There is a process that needs to be gone through, which is I found quite complex. But basically, the advertisement's already gone out, hasn't it? That there's a casual vacancy, and it's let me see now. We've posted a casual vacancy notice. It will go to a ballot. No, hang on a minute. The date is the 15th of January, Jane, for...
So if anybody's actually to call an election, you have to apply to the information on that notice board, and an election will be called in due course whenever that is possible, hopefully May. But if nobody steps forward to call for an election by the 15th of January, then we are able to advertise to co-opt someone onto the council.
Right. And in the event that there's more than one person, at the next council meeting, we vote people in the way that we did with B.
Correct.
Okay.
So the councillors will have a vote at the next meeting if there's more than one person who's put their hand up.
Okay. So can I please ask everyone here at this meeting either to put themselves forward or to encourage other people to do so, because the more people we get, the better. And we're making important decisions for the village here. We need more opinions. Okay, sorry, I was talking out of turn there. So it's up to you, Jonathan. First, you're muted at the moment. Any points you want to make, report or items for the next meeting?
No.
B?
No, it's a good meeting.
Thank you. Okay, I'm moving on to the date of the next meeting, which
it must be. Sorry, I had it and I can't find it now. I've lost the date. It must be. It's the second week in March. I haven't got my calendar in front of me. If someone can help me out here, I apologise.
Yeah. Second week in March, Wednesday the 10th, I reckon.
I do as well.
Okay, so Wednesday the 10th of March.
Thank you both very much. Sorry about that.
No worries. Now, public discussion, items for future agendas. So anyone have any items for future agendas from the public? Yes, Sue.
You're on mute.
I usually give you the date for the pump and pound item.
Oh, yes.
So I was going to say, would you like us after the 15th of January, if appropriate, to advertise the casual vacancy in the pump and pounds?
Very much so. Yes, please.
Or you can either give me some words or, well, that would be helpful. If you'd like
we'll
to
give you some
me
words.
a paragraph or so.
That'd be
And
brilliant.
so can we have items by the 22nd of January? Yes, Friday the 22nd. I mean, earlier if possible.
Yeah, of course. That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
This is an item to the agenda, but David, if it's any consolation, I was listening obviously through the debate on the setting of the budget, and I agree with B. It's such a small proportion of the overall council tax, which I'm sure people have moaned about anyway, but if people can actually see the value they're getting actually in the village, I think they'll be really pleased, David.
Thank you very much, Sue. That's very helpful. So, any other comments, questions?
I guess just at a more general level, should we consider getting a year subscription to Zoom? Because I think it's longer term, it might be better value than this month on, month off every time.
Jonathan, I think we're going to be all right by end of February, March.
You reckon?
Which year was that? Yes. Okay. Maybe one for next time. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Yeah, there's always a next time. Manana.
Yeah. Okay,
right. Well, those of you who've been watching the Pembrokeshire murders, you've got a minute. Thank you very much indeed for your contributions. It's been a really good meeting.
Thank you.
Oh, Rebecca, you still saying you waving goodbye?
Saying goodbye.
Oh,
okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.